Okay, we're back at it. That's the next day. I did get the entire shelter down. You can see there, completely gone. It's kind of nice. I was able to recover 4 cattle panels that we were using for that. So now I've got those available for other purposes. I was really actually kind of impressed. I think I mentioned this in my other video. How well that the wood pallets had held up. I've got them stacked over there. I thought that they would have rotted a lot more, and they seem to be in a lot worse condition while they were still up. Just a wind here. But as I was taking them down, they actually are in somewhat decent shape. Definitely still usable for other things. So that's a bonus. We've got the old watering pallet there, being blocked by the steering wheel. Boom. Got the actual bin for it over there. It's not being used right now. We'll figure out how to incorporate that into this new design. But so we're going to get started on getting these rafters up. So the very first thing is going to get that one replaced, the one that's got that big bow in it. And like I said, this other one has a little bit of a bow going up, but I am not as concerned with that one. So I'm going to see if I can deal with that one as it is. If I find that I can't, if I find that I've got too much of a deflection or can't compensate with the rafter in any way, I may just swap it out for one of these closer ones and then just hold off on putting all those rafters up. We'll see. I don't think I'll have to. I think it will be good just replacing that. So I'll start with that. Then we'll get our rafters laid out. And what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to use 2x6 for this. Because it's on the lean-to side, it's going to have, it's a relatively short span. And with the purlins, I think a 2x6 for that span is going to be just fine. I'm sure anyone who really disagrees with me on that will let me know in the comments down below. And we'll find out if it holds up. We don't get that much snow here on a regular basis. When we do, we do. But we don't get that much often. I'll start out by making a template with one. Make sure I get the angle right, the slope right, make sure I get the bird's mouth right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just move that template along and see how much variation. I don't think I have this well enough put together that I can put all my rafters together and make one cut across uniform. I think I'm going to have to custom measure and tweak each rafter as I go along. So that's something to be said for making sure things are plumb, square, your dimensions are rigid along. When you have something that's well built like that, you can make shortcuts like that when you're a little bit more experienced. I'm not there, so that's not what I'm doing. So gonna get working on that board and we'll see how far we get. Okay, so what you saw me doing there is putting a board on the bottom level, because obviously the ground isn't level, because I need to get the height of each ridge board so that I can know what the total rise of the rafter needs to be. The run is 10, well, it's actually 9 feet 7, because it's 10 minus 5. Trust me, it's 9 feet 7, And the rise, now I had to figure from that level board to each. So on the short side, I got 86 and an eighth. On the long side, I've got 108 and 3/8. So I just got to figure out the difference to get my total rise. So it's a total rise of 1 foot 10 and 1/4 inch, which is 12. It's 22. So yeah, 22 and a quarter inch. So 22 and a quarter inch over 95. Okay, so that math works out to about a 2.3 to 12 pitch, or 2, I think, in 5/16 to 12 pitch, which gives us an angle of about 10.95. I'm gonna round that to 11 since I don't think I'm gonna get that accurate with my cuts. So I'll start my template board with a 11-degree cut for this side, and then what we'll do is we'll take it over and we'll loft it in place, and we'll see where that bird mouth, where that seat cut ends up being, and we'll measure and we'll compare that against the math and see if that 11-degree will work. Okay. In reality, that seat cut should be equal to the hypotenuse, which is I need to get that. So 117.13, and I think the 0.13 rounds to, so 117th and an eighth. We'll see how well that lines up. So obviously the first thing you want to do is measure the board, make sure it never comes at its dimension. It's not 12 feet when you get it, it's 12 plus a little bit. So you want to make sure, if you want those to be even, make that cut at this time, get it 12. When you get a more professional setup, you can line them all up and snap them all and have them nice and even. Larry Hahn likes to do that. I'm not there, so I'm doing it board by board. So this is a larger framing square than the speed square, but it's still got our marks on here. And I'll just show you this in case you don't know what you're doing here. You got your pivot point up here, right? You saw me put that against the edge of the board, and then I pivoted until this edge of the board. I was looking at these numbers here on the bottom. This 5, 10, these are degrees. Has it labeled there. Okay, and I went till I got to the 11-degree mark. Now if you come across here, these are your common rafter numbers. So remember I said it was like 2 and 0.32 or 2 and 5/16. Well, if you look here where the 11 or the 10 is, come across here, follow this angle across, and you look, you got about 2 and 5/16, 2.3 give or take. All right, and so you know it's just a backup. It gives you a little bit warm and fuzzy that, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm in the ballpark, this cut should be good. So I've got the 12-foot cut all the way down. I've got the run marked, and I'm gonna give that same line as there, because that should be my back cut from my seat cut on the bird's mouth. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that so that when I loft it up in place, I can gauge, okay, where is that? Is that close? Is that good? Okay, so it looked pretty good, pretty close. It had the seat cut is a little bit just up there, a little bit forward, but I think bringing that beam, that's why I was just checking plumb there on both, and that side is a little bit out of plumb, and if it were to come into plumb, that seat cut would line up right where it needs to be. So now I got to go find my handsaw because I didn't find it before I brought everything out here, so that I don't want to overcut. I'd like to get as close as possible with the seat cut, with the bird's mouth, and then calculate the actual footprint of the bird's mouth, cut it, and we'll put this one in place. And I'm going to start on one end and work my way across. Okay, I was referring to that mark as the seat cut, and it's not. It's actually the heel that matches your pitch. The seat cut is the part that comes down and seats on the rafter. So that's the angle I'm going to mark now. I'm also keeping it on a chicken. It keeps escaping over there. I'm trying to figure out what weak spot in the fence and use it. So that's why I'm looking over there. The chicken's watching me too, because as soon as I turn my back, she's out. I'm pretty sure I know where she's getting through, but I want to see it to confirm it. Anyway, one rafter up. The measurements looked all good. Everything came together, no problem. Everything's sitting nice and flush where it should be, so now I can move on to the next one. Now I've got to measure out where the next rafter is going to go. It's going to be about 2 feet on center, give or take. Yeah. Caught her in the act. All right, let's see if that temporary fix can work. So, slight change of plan. It's going to still be 2 foot on center, give or take, but I'm going to go to the outside of that first post because 2 feet is directly in the center of that post. So I'm going to go on to the outside of that, make the distance between that outer rafter and that first inner rafter shorter, and then I'll go 2 feet from there. That should allow me to get all the way across, and then this last span here between the outer rafter will be different from the 2 foot, but that's what we're gonna do. So time to lay out the next rafter. I am also gonna try to go a little bit on the minus side of that 11 degrees because it's pretty flush, but there is a little bit of a gap, so I think try to get closer at 10.95 and see how that does. All right, so 2 are up. I'm gonna go ahead and skip putting up the rest of them. It's gonna be just copy paste. If something interesting comes up, I'll start the camera again. Otherwise, you're gonna go to the next part now. It also, it's the next day. Didn't get quite as far as I thought or hoped I would yesterday. Got kind of a late start. No big deal. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rafters up, so almost about halfway. I went and did that one off to the middle because I noticed that this side was kind of bowing in a little bit. I noticed it when I was making some of the bird mouth cuts on those pieces over there. My measurement was getting a little shorter and shorter, and so I double checked the squareness of the bottom side rafter, or the bottom side ledger board, and noticed that it was kind of bowing in a little bit. So I made up that rafter with the correct mark and pushed it back, used it to push back out so it's nice and straight again. So I should be able to continue with the same measurements that I've been using. I did notice that the angle of the I don't know which cut that is, the ridge cut, I guess, the top angle, it's favoring more the 10 degrees rather than the 11 that we were doing. It just seems to be a bit better flush mount, and that causes the bird mouth to sit properly. So I'm not sure where I got the math wrong there, or if I got the math wrong and I've just got I don't know, but I'm doing what works rather than what should work. That's pretty much it. I will at some point be trimming down this branch here. May do that today, don't know, but I'm just gonna again focus on getting these rafters finished, and then we'll put some hardware on there and I'll show you that part too. All right, let's get to it. And just like that, all of the rafters are up. Now, I'm gonna move on to adding some bracing, and bring you over here a little bit. I always intended to put up these hurricane straps on the bottom end. Okay, now these are really just to help horizontal movement, help keep everything locked into place. They're not really meant for vertical load. So what I think I'm gonna do on the upper parts, I kept going back and forth. Do I need hangers or do I not need hangers? I'm sure there's other people who have opinions on this. I don't think I need to put the hangers up for this part. I've got three 3-inch nails tying each rafter to the ledger board. But what I think I'm gonna do is I may get a couple 2x4s and run kind of a bottom sill underneath so that they do have something to rest on. They, just a little bit of extra weight so that the screws aren't bearing all the shear force at that point. Maybe I'm right about that, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think it's just, for the cost of a couple 2x4s, I think it's worth it. Once I get these on, now attaching these, they do make, so these ones actually are for the end side, because if I put these on the end here, there's overhang. We don't want that. So these ones go on the inside. Can't see that, but they go on the inside. They're doing essentially the same thing. They're helping keep that board tied to that board and preventing any significant sway. Now usually, and I've used this with the other hangers that I put up, I use screws to attach these. They're significantly more expensive in bulk than the galvanized nails. I'm gonna spend more time with the nails, won't go as quickly as the screws, but my sweat equity and time is better spent on that than my capital is spent on screws. I got this box of 1.5" Tendy galvanized nails, you say 600 in these, for about a third of the price, maybe half the price of a box of 100 screws of the 1.5 inch. So you can do that math, and I will gladly make up the capital equity for my sweat equity. So I'm gonna get on put on these, and then once that's done, I do need to make a run to get some more material, because we'll get to the 2x4s to put under there, like I was just talking about, but also for the purlins. I'm gonna use 2x4s for those. I know I could probably get away with 1x, but I'm gonna use 2x4s for that, and then we'll be ready to throw some metal up, which probably won't happen this week, It'll probably be till the next paycheck, but we're making progress. So get these going up now. I was gonna move the laddering and start on the other end for some reason, but I was like, why not just start down here? So, like I said, let's go up just like that, and they help tie this piece and this piece together. Not sure this will take me significantly longer, honestly. A little bit, but not too bad. Beautiful. I'll just move down the rows. So I think that went just as, if not even a little quicker than the screws. Even when I was using my left hand. Interesting. Okay, we're back at it. Day 3 of this video of this working on this project. So obviously yesterday, this part you just saw, we got all the rafters up, got all of the brackets up, all of the braces up, and so now went to the lumber store, got my material that I need to do the purlins, which I decided to go with 2x3 instead of 2x4. And I did this for cost reasons. 2x3s are significantly less expensive than 2x4s. I'm also putting the purlins up on the face down rather than up on edge, which I know there's different opinions on that, but with these rafters, with the run and with the spacing of the rafters, being on face should give it just as much strength as anything else. The on edge purlin, as I understand it, obviously it's stronger, but that's if you have wider spans between your rafters. So if you're looking at a 4-foot span or even bigger on a large pole barn type situation, that's where you definitely want to go on edge, so as you get that deflection strength and also the updraft strength. Being on the flat on the face side here, you're not going to lose a lot. 2-foot span, it's going to be plenty, especially for the loads we normally expect here. We've got much more of an updraft question than a weight load problem. And I think the 2x3 on the face side will be just fine, especially if I use strong enough screws to anchor it down, which I will be. So I've got that for that. I also got 2x3s to put under there to make that little lip for the rafters so that not all of the weight, all of the down force, shearing force is on the screws that are holding them in. Even though those are not deck screws, they are structural. They have a higher shear force, but I wanted to give that lip just to ease that a little bit, give it a little bit more strength there. So I've got that material for that. I also got material for that section of fence that got put up now that the old shelter's down. So I got some 2x4s to put up there so that it matches this design here, the top rail and bottom rail. And I got some 4x4s to make the knee braces on either side. Don't know if I'm gonna get to all that today, but I will get to it all in this video, this part, and that's where we'll probably end this video, is once those knee braces are in place. We'll save the roofing and everything else for a later time. So I'm gonna get at it. heat's definitely back. Okay, so now I'm gonna work on getting the purlins up. Now, here's where I've created more work for myself. Something I realized as I was putting up the rafters is that on these posts here, I probably should have cut off the portion above the ledger, and that would have allowed me to go on center all the way across. And I didn't do that for whatever reason. And I didn't really realize that or think about that until I was about 4 or 5 rafters into it. I simply didn't want to undo what I've done to account for that. So I went with the option that I started with, which is I just offset the measurements on those two. So on that end, the 2 rafters are a little closer than 2 feet to account for the thickness of the board. And on this end, they're a little wider than 2 feet to account for the thickness of the post. The rest of them are 2 inches or 2 feet on center from each other. So starting from that second rafter on that side, which is on this side of the post, every rafter from that second one is 2 feet on center from that one all the way across to this last one, which is again right up against that post because it actually is pretty close there to being on center. So it's in the same position relative to that post as it is to this one. All that's to say that I can't simply just mark my purlins at 2 feet increments to get it all square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this first row of purlins up across, or maybe this first one and then work down and then move over and work down. Whichever way I do it, I'm going to get this first one up and it's going to be straight in line with the ridge. So I know that it's going to be square relative to the rafters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my marks, my measurements as to where the distance on that rafter is on that purlin, and that way I can transfer that down to the next row. And that's how I'm going to square up my rafters instead of using blocking in between them. I'll just use the purlins themselves to square up those rafters. Is it absolutely critical that they're perfectly square? Not in a real sense. Only in a load bearing sense. We want to make sure the load is as evenly distributed as possible. So that way, when we do get heavy snow loads, then they're sharing the work, right? So that's what I'm going to do there. That's why it's going to kind of look like I'm taking my time with them. It's not just as easy as throwing them up, screwing them in. And again, I created a lot of that work myself, but I knew it as I was doing it. So here we go. So I got 3 rows of purlins up. It's hot today. It's a lot hotter than I thought it would be. I was actually depending on it being a little bit more overcast, longer than it was. So I'm actually going to call it for today because we're going to be stopping early. We're going to go bowling tonight. You got to take time to do family, right? You can't always be focusing on project, always being doing this stuff. If you're not doing this for your family to spend time with them, why are you doing it? So probably not going to make too much more progress on this week. Tomorrow's Sunday for us, so we've definitely got church going on, but it was also Move the Animals Day, so I don't know how much more of this I'm going to get done. I've got the material to make as much progress as I want to for this phase, but I think we'll just call this part of this video done now, and we'll just pick up from getting the rest of the purlins up, getting the knee braces on, and probably hopefully getting some sheet metal up there. So we're gonna call this part of the video done. We're making good progress. God be with you all in all that you do, and remember, keep faith, keep up the fight. God bless. Bye.